Good evening. Welcome to Night Bow. My name's Jonathan, and it's 8 p.m. on a Sunday evening. And for those that practice from Europe, it's 20 o'clock, I guess. So evening time. And what that means is that this bowspring practice will be a little bit mellower, and that's really because bowspring is quite an active, dynamic practice that actually puts you into a state of readiness and isn't necessarily something that you do vigorously but before going to bed. It will actually charge up your body. However, of course, you can do some of the postures at a more mellow tone, and that'll be the emphasis here. So please sit up tall. You could sit onto a block to get a bit more lift, and then float your arms forward in front of you. Touch the tips of your fingers together for globe hands. Lift your chin so you can look to the horizon. Actively push the tips of your fingers into each other. Bend your elbows out to the sides. Breathe in fully. And breathe out all the way. And then one more time. Inhale. And then exhale. And then open your eyes, reach your arms forward, and then wide sweeping reach over to the right to stretch out through the left side body more. And then lean over to the left and reach out further with your right arm just to get a nice stretch through the underside of your armpit, the most vulnerable spot to be tickled. And then back to center, lean forward and touch your fingers down. And make your way into all fours position. You can move any blocks or props off to the side. Here in all fours position, point your toes back behind you, but pull your feet forward so the front of your ankles start to lift a little bit. And then move your hips back about a quarter of the way towards your heels into the spring load position. So you're setting yourself up like you're loading a spring, but not actually loading anything. And then push your knees out to the side to feel your glutes get stronger. Now from this position, reach your left arm forward, lift your chin. You're welcome to curl your fingers into a seed hand position as you extend the arm. And then lower your hand down and then switch. Lift your right arm, reach your arm forward. Again, you can curl the finger into the seed hand position, kind of like you're holding on to the handlebars of a bicycle, and then reach and extend long. Okay, and then lower your hand down. Staying in that spring-loaded position, can you move back just far enough that you go fingertips on both hands? Or, this is where it gets quite advanced, to lift both hands up away from the floor and reach forward. Whew. Extending the arms, lift your chin. Take one last deep breath in, and then lower your hands down, all fours position. So all fours is different than tabletop because we want to keep a curvature in the spine. So push the arms straight, lift your rib cage up, drop your belly down, tilt your right ear towards your right shoulder, and then even move your right hip closer to your right shoulder. So you stretch out through the left side body. And then go over to the other side, tilt your left ear to your left shoulder, narrow the left side waist as you broaden and widen the right side. Return to the first side, so right ear to right shoulder, this time option to go left hand fingertips, or even cup the back of your head with your left hand, hug your elbow in, move your hips back like the spring load position, tilt your right ear to right shoulder, option to lift your feet, and then pivot your feet over to the right to get an extra side body stretch. Extra. And then return to center, lower your left fingers down, dome to bright, and then rise onto your right fingertips, left ear to left shoulder, option to lift your hand, cup the back of your head, hug your elbow in, option to hover your feet and move your feet off to the left. Lean over to the side, lift your chin, big breath in. And then lower your hand down. Now tuck your toes under and then lift your knees up for crouching cat position. So crouching cat is just like downward facing dog, except instead of being all the way pushed back, you keep your chin, your head closer up to your hands. With your knees bent, tilt your sit bones high into the air. Push your hands down and away from each other so your arms get stronger. So there's an action, even without movement, of just pushing the hands out. Push your feet out as well. Get your legs stronger. Deep breath in. And then deep breath out. Look forward and slowly step forward. Once you arrive near your hands, separate your feet and rise up. Place your hands to your knees for recovery position. In recovery position, bend your knees forward. And as you bend your knees forward, emphasize moving the tops of your thighs back. You could even put your thumbs to your hip crease to encourage them to move back. And then place your hands to the outside of your knees and push your knees energetically to the side to feel your legs get stronger. Ooh, that feels great. Then reach your arms forward in front of you. Bring your hands into globe hands. Lean to your right foot and then lift your left foot in front of you. So it's just a basic standing position with the standing leg bent slightly. Now we add some challenge to it. Bring your hands lower and hold underneath your thigh. We'll try to remember to do this on our back as well, but drop the weight of your leg into your hand so your thigh goes away from your upper body. And then your arms start to just tone and get stronger. Then extend your leg as straight as you can. That's it. I'm not doing this for show. That's as straight as it goes. Look forward. Big breath in. And then lower your foot down. Lean over to your left foot with the knee bent. And then lift your right leg. Return to globe hands position. Bending your standing leg, push your fingers into each other, keep your chin lifted, and then option to extend your leg straighter. Of course, support your leg by holding underneath your thigh, and let your leg drop into your hands. You feel your arms engage with that, and push your leg straighter. You can even pull with your hands, guiding your thigh bone in towards the hip socket, and that just feels great. But it also gets a lift up of the spine, creating the slight curvature in your low back. Okay, and then lower your foot down, nicely done. Return to the first side, so balance on your right foot. Lift your left foot, but place your foot to your inner shin or upper inner thigh, up to you. Just the bent knee version of tree pose is called shrub, just because it's a little bit smaller. And then here in shrub pose, join your hands together, but place your thumbs to the crown of your head for crown hands. Push your head up into your thumbs so you feel a lift up of your rib cage. At the same time, with your standing leg bent, move your hips down and back a little bit. And you can coordinate that with your breath, where you inhale and lift the rib cage up as you exhale and drop your hips further back. And eventually both of those actions are happening simultaneously, which is challenging to do. Okay, lower your foot down, go toes, the balls of your feet, then your heel, and then just switch sides. So you could go foot to your inner ankle, inner shin. I like the extra support to put the foot up to the inner thigh. And then once you feel settled, hands together, thumbs to the crown of the head. So just a gentle pull down of your hands, not so much that you pull your head literally down, that hurts. Instead, keep your eyes forward and just gently press down with the assistance of gravity with your thumbs, but then resist back and be like, hey, no gravity, no thumbs. I'm doing this for me. I'm growing. I'm reaching. I'm lifting. Okay, and then slowly lower your foot down and bring your hands in front of you for globe hands. Lean to your right foot and then tilt forward. Point your lifted foot and then lean forward. Then bring the top of your foot down and then the top of your shin down, just into a low lunge position. Here in this low lunge position, take a wide sweep over to the right, so the front leg side, just to get a bit of a twist. And then take a wide sweep over to the left. And I'm just going to angle myself a little bit so I have some more room. Then bring your hand down and cup the back of your head for baby mantis position. Push the right foot forward and move your hips further back. Tilt your left ear to your left shoulder and lift through the right side body. And then from here, option to go fingertips, or even lift your left hand and hold the outside of your right elbow. Gently nudge the elbow down as you push into the resistance of your elbow and then twist up. One last breath in and then turn to the floor. Bring your left hand down, pause. Use the left hand to push your way up into the low lunge position. Then tuck your back toes, move your hips back so you spring your legs, and then push off of the back foot to lift up. And I'm just bringing the extra block with me. And pyramid pose bowspring is definitely not as deep as in yoga class. So short-ish stance, bend both knees, and then move your hips back so that you get the little arch in your low back. From there, hinge at your hips, and I actually go up to 2 blocks, double block style on this one. Then, with the double block style, push the front leg straighter. You can always lift the heel if you want some more intensity on the front foot, but the emphasis is on keeping a slight arch in your low back, so lifting your glutes up, also known as booty up, hashtag booty up. Glutes on the rise, push the front leg straighter. Okay, and then push off of your foot to step forward. Just going to lower the blocks down and then rise up, globe hands. Sway a little bit from side to side. Balance on your left foot. Lift your right foot behind you. Tilt forward. Point your toes. Slow and steady. Bring the top of your foot down. And then bring your knee down. Once your knee comes down, reach your arms forward. Do a little twist over towards the left this time. And then the wide sweeping arc over to your right. Bring your hand down and then cup the back of your head with your left hand. Hug your elbow in. Push your left foot forward. Move your hips back. Lift the left side rib cage. Find a twist from right to left. An option to move back just far enough with your hips that you can go fingertips. And then option to lift the hand. Hold the outside of your left elbow. Pull the elbow up as you bring your elbow down. And there's this inner battle, again, gravity pulling down with the assistance of the hand. But then the elbow resists and says, no way, I will not let you bring me down. And then now actually come down with the right hand. Push off with the right hand to slowly come up. Getting ready for the spring load action. So you move your hips back, so not using the hands, and then just push off of the back foot to rise up. Again, option to use blocks. This pyramid's different than yoga. Yoga's pretty long feet, straight legs, and then you round over, touching forehead to shin. So short stance, back heel lifted. Move your hips back. You can put weight into a couple blocks, 1 block, up to you, and then just push your front leg straighter. And if I go to the full edge of this position, I will literally start to drool, and I'm always conscious of that because that could turn into a GIF. My understanding is people call them GIFs, but the inventor of it felt it was actually GIF, like giant. The word giant isn't giant, right? Right? It's giant. Little tip of the day. Okay, then push off of your back foot, step forward, have the feet hip distance apart. You can put the blocks down, cup the back of your head, bend your knees, push your head back into your hands. Use that to lift your rib cage up. And then now tilt, hinge at your hips, lean forward, pause in the halfway lift position. This is where it's a bit intense, and then touch your hands down and step back, pausing here in plank pose. Lower your knees down, and then from the knees down position, bend your elbows and slowly lower all the way down. Rise up into a Sphinx position, and you're welcome to even go globe hands here in Sphinx, and up to you. This is there's another name for this. I've heard it in another system called the sphere of tension, but globe hands is what I prefer instead. And two choices here. One is intensity. That's to push down with your elbows and your knees to lift your hips up. You could even lift your feet up, and then you're working on your abs. Or keep your hips down and just bend your knees, bring the big toes together. And then that's the position, pushing your knees down, pushing your elbows down to feel the stretch through your belly. Big breath. I try to make sure that I enunciate the T and the H on that one. Okay, and then lower your feet down, place your hands under your shoulders, and lift up into the all fours position. Tuck your toes under, turn your knees over to the left, and lower your right hip down. Rise onto your left fingertips for seated side twist. Pausing here, push down with the left hand, lift your rib cage up, and move right to left. And then side bow, slide your right arm long, lie onto your side, place your left hand at the front of your left knee, and push your knee forward so you move your hips back, and create a little arch in your low back. Press down through your head. You're welcome to lift the side waist, and attempt to lift the side rib cage as well while you do this. And then place your hand to the outside of your knee, push your knee up into the resistance of your hand, but your hand stops it. And you feel stronger in your glutes because of it. Okay, and then left hand down, push your way up, and then switch sides. Turn your knees to the right, bring your left hip down, rise onto your right fingertips. Take a big breath in, and then on an exhale, twist from right to left. Anchor down firmly with your left hip, and then use your breath to lift up and move from right to left. Okay, and then side bow. Slide your left arm along, rest your head on your upper arm, hover your right leg, bring your right hand to the front of your knee, push your knee forward, move your hip back, push the left knee down into the floor, place your right hand to the outside of the right knee, and then push the bottom knee down, the upper knee up. Don't actually move the leg, but feel how your leg gets stronger because of that. We sometimes call this one Burt Reynolds position. Okay, and then lower your right hand down, push your way back up into all fours position. Here in all fours, slide your right arm underneath your left arm for a thread the needle arm variation, moving your hips back. If you want to add a little bit of spice to this one, you can extend your left leg back as well, just to create some challenge to the balance. Okay, and then bring your left leg in. If you did so, push with your left hand, slowly come up, and then switch. Slide your left arm underneath you, left shoulder down, look towards the right, and then setting yourself up, option to extend your right leg back this time. Okay, and then push with your right hand, bring your right knee down, slowly come up. Just frog pose, not a super long one. We've done that before, but take a fairly wide stance with your all fours position in regards to your legs. And then pause there. Move your hips back, push your knees out to the sides, an option to lower down onto your elbows, or you could go elbows on a block. And then from here, imagine someone just pulling the hips back a little bit, and then you resisting by pulling your rib cage forward. Whoa, whoa. Push the knees out to the sides. Keep your breath relaxed, and also the hands relaxed. They can get quite tense in this position. Get me out of here now. Okay, and then slowly rise up onto your hands. Move your knees closer together. And then I like to use blocks for some seated positions, and I actually go to the second highest setting just to make it a little bit more accessible. Lean over towards your left and extend your right leg forward. Triang Mukha Eka Pada Paschimottanasana. So 3 limbs facing forward pose. And here in this position, it's not always the most common. Bowspring offered forward folds quite a bit, and then as it evolved, forward folds kind of got thrown out the window. But the emphasis in forward folds is the front leg doesn't have to be straight, but try to get the natural curve of the low back. So that's why I sit on the block. And then you can bring your hands to crown hands to get the emphasis. So dig down with your right heel, push with your head up into your thumbs, and then begin to hinge forward. And that's as far as I need to go. Holy stretch, Phil. I imagine if you can go further, you'll be able to go further. Eventually some can get to a point where they can hold the foot. And of course I can hold the foot, it's just I get more of a stretch actually being in this position. So if you can maintain the integrity, the strength, and the stretch that you have here while holding your foot, then go for it. Okay, and then come up, and then just bring your right leg back, and then extend your left leg forward. And then same thing, but different side. Dig down with your heel, push with your head up into your thumbs, lift up tall. Try to get the low back to move in and up. Even just putting my thumb to the low back there and just emphasizing that in and up gives me a more intense stretch than if I just round. So that to then this, oh, that's a big stretch. And then lift up and then hinge forward. Oh, too far. Not too far. Should never actually go too far, so I didn't go too far. Too far, of course, is when you overstretch and then you feel sore from the strain or pull of a muscle. So the emphasis in bowspring is actually to be in a strong position, and if you're in strong position, you then, of course, can't really overstretch. Okay, and then lift up. I'm just going to go to the lowest setting for the block, and then open your legs wide. Wide being defined as between about 80 and 120 degrees. So not as wide as humanly possible for some people, think Jean-Claude Van Damme splits, but just about a 90-degree angle. And then if you're on the block, it helps to bend the knees a little bit. Same as before, you can bring the hands to the top of the head. You might actually benefit by cupping the back of your head and pushing your head back as you hinge forward at your hips. So again, it's an active position, but it's still on the more mellow side because it's seated. And then come up and then just tilt over the right leg for a couple cycles of breath just to feel the difference. Anchor down through your left sit bone and your left heel. And then come up, turn over your left leg, and then hinge forward. Anchor down with your right butt, the correct butt, the butt you write with if you're right-butted. And then come all the way up. Hold underneath your knees. Pull your knees in. Nicely done. Then just make your way onto your back. And once you arrive on your back, have your knees bent with your feet down. And check to see that your low back is slightly lifted, so you can put your hand under your low back and there's lots of space there. Then keep the slight lift of your low back, anchor down with your left foot and hold the back of your right thigh. Don't straighten your leg yet. Pull your left foot down and back so you feel your leg get stronger, and then move your right thigh into your hands as opposed to your hands moving your thigh towards your upper body, and then stretch your legs straighter. And again, not doing this for visual effect, that is the full stretch for me. That's definitely in the shake a leg territory, which always gets me thinking about the commercial for shake and bake chicken. Okay, and then switch your leg. So lower your right foot down, pull your foot back, feel the back of your leg get stronger, hold the back of your left thigh, move the leg away from you so it's into your hands, and pull your thigh down, and then extend your leg straighter. Whoa. Keep the right leg active, push your foot down, pull it back, push your head down, keep your chin lifted. 3, 2, 1. And then release. Lift both feet, cup your knees for freedom pose. So that's where the feet just dangle. Straighten your arms and let your hips be directly over, knees directly over your hips. The hips are directly over the floor, hopefully. And then you can add some circles, like your favorite Venn diagram. And you can go one way and then the other way. It's hard to say which is which because it's easier to do like opposite circle directions with both legs at the same time. Then lower your feet, take your arms to chin up bar arms. That's where you hold the front edge of the mat like I'm doing here. Move the hips a little bit to the right and then drop your knees over to the left. And I like to use the left hand to hold the outside of the right thigh, and the right shoulder can lift a little bit but twist from left to right. And then release your left hand, lower your feet, lift your knees up, shift your hips over to the left, drop your knees to the right. And then it's the right hand this time that can hold the outside of your left thigh. Anchor the legs down, keep your chin lifted, and twist from right to left. Okay, and then back to center. One by one, extend your legs longer with your feet wide-ish, about the width of a mat. Then reach your arms up, curl your fingers, cross your arms as an X, and then lean over to your left and just reach your right arm a little longer so you broaden through the right side of your upper back. And then lower onto your right side, lift the left side, and then reach your left arm longer so you broaden through the left side, and then lower down. An option here, just a little bit more specific to bowspring, is to hold opposite shoulders. Give yourself a bear hug. We all could use an extra hug or two right about now. Let your legs relax, and your fingers and toes curl. And even though we rest, we can still be active in our rest, paying attention to the breath, making your breath long, fluid, and even. Allow the back of your head and your upper back, the back of your pelvis and the back of your legs be heavier and heavier. If this is prepping you for bed, of course you can head straight there, or just slowly reawaken from this moment of slumber. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, stretch your arms up, and then bend your knees and roll over to one side until you can lift your way up all the way to a tall seated position again. And then please join the tips of your fingers together for globe hands. Push your hands into each other. Breathe in deeply. And exhale all the way. Namaste.